Hey everybody, Stinger here. I want to invite you to a pretty cool podcast.
Watch this film. Be quite nice. Have a good time. Be very evil. And you'll love that Danhausen.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you.
And you might remember me from such YouTube greats as Being the Elite and Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And I'm just going to tell you now, as a role model, you got to tune into this because if you also want to be a role model, you got to learn from the best.
We have a rapport, and we have been so close over so many years. This is not a cameo or a paid endorsement in any regard. This is a message of friendship.
Man, we met 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Time is flying, isn't it?
I want to wish you all the best in your YouTube channel, and hopefully I can maybe make a special guest appearance on there sometime.
And I used to say, hey, Greg Morgan, and he used to say, please call me Greg, and I wouldn't do it.
Good mic work. Commentaries.
Awesome YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen these videos before, you know what I'm talking about.
We would do verbal chain wrestling. You know, we'd be off in the yard, the schoolyard at recess.
And he's also a 40-year-old wrestling fan. That's a long damn time.
And we'd just be staring at each other, and he'd say, hammerlock. And I'd say, all right, I've reversed the hammerlock into a hammerlock of my own, then I put you in a headlock. And, you know, that would go on for hours.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT. This guy covers it all, my friends. I want you to go to his page, Good Mic Work on YouTube.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
But we would have fun. We would run around. There would be a wooden hoop we would hit with a stick, and it would go down a hill.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
It's a very practical apparatus.
We're really lacking in the world right now with some people that have a freaking brain cell.
And then now look at him. He has more YouTube views and subscribers than I do, and I'm fine with it because I played such an integral role in his upbringing.
Don't you dare be sour.
We always talked about wrestling. He was a big Lou Thez guy, and of course I had an affectation for the Hackenschmidts.
Clap for Good Mic Work Commentaries.
This is RJ City, a wrestling rock on tour.
And feel the power.
Listen to the podcast. Subscribe.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Just want to encourage all you guys to check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And if you don't, we're going to have a problem.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it now!
Thanks a lot for the encomium and the nice words about my father's Hall of Fame induction.
Hope our paths cross again sometime down the road. Would love to shake your hand again, and good luck on this podcast.
And you don't just watch it one time. You can rewatch every single one of them.
And now, Good Mic Work Commentaries and Greg Morgan presents the Winged Eagle Podcast.
Happy Saturday and happy All Out 2021 weekend. What's going on, guys? Good mic work. Back at you for your Winged Eagle podcast for September 4th, 2021. And we got a big pay-per-view tomorrow and a big batch of stuff to talk about today. So today's episode is going to be some wrestling news. We're going to talk about last night's WWE SmackDown, which had a WWE Universal title match in the main event. AEW heads into All Out following a really good go-home Dynamite and a solid hour of wrestling last night with AEW Rampage. got a kick out of the whole show. The entire hour was very, very fun last night, so I think they are on a roll heading into tomorrow. And, of course, we're going to predict tomorrow. Big all-out card, 10 matches I have listed for the show. We're going to predict each and every single one of them and talk about what we could possibly see, any title changes, any returns, any debuts, any surprises, that sort of thing. Got all sorts of ideas for tomorrow night's all-out show in Chicago. I still got to go online and order that, by the way. And we will be up here tomorrow immediately following AEW All Out for a full show review. It's going to be a blast. I'm ready for tomorrow. Got my last final big busy day today before I have a 4-day weekend next week. Or starting tomorrow, excuse me. So right after this podcast, I got to wrap things up, get on out of here, head to work, and then I'm going to be sitting on my ass for the next 4 days doing YouTube shit. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited for this weekend. So hopefully you guys are all doing all right. For those of you that are here already hanging out in the chat, 40-ish of you or whatever, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe. Now, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be up here after All Out. The link is over on my page right now, so go give that a like, save it, and hold that until tomorrow. And like I've been mentioning in the last couple of episodes, we are going to start a new tradition here this fall and winter and see how it goes on the channel. Every single Wednesday night, I'm going to be up here watching Dynamite live on YouTube with all of you. We're going to try to do a weekly watch-along. A few years back, we were doing Raw watch-alongs every week. I did it for every week for 2 years straight until it just burnt me the fuck out with those 3-hour-long boring shows. So we kind of transitioned into reviews instead. But they always did really well, and it really helped grow the channel a lot. So we're going to see if we can generate any sort of an audience or interest on Wednesday nights. So that begins this Wednesday, the post-all-out Dynamite on September 8th. We're going to be here live, and I'm going to be doing that every single week, and we'll do a little bit different stuff. I got kind of a new kind of design for the stream, and we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to try to highlight, the super chats on the screen and just try to make it more of a casual, fun hangout every Wednesday, stuff like that. So it's going to be a little bit different of a look than what you're used to seeing, but it's still going to be a lot of fun, and I'm ready to rock on Wednesday. So just want to keep you guys aware of that before we really dive into our business here today. Like I said, I want to say hello to the chat. I'm going to do some Patreon shout-outs real quick, and then we'll start with the wrestling news. After that, we'll get into SmackDown. We'll follow that up with Rampage from last night, and then we will predict the entire all-out card. Now, I only have 90 minutes to get this podcast out today. I wanted to come up on normal time, but I kind of got to be done here around 4:30 my time, 7:30 on the East Coast. So we're going to try to cram this all in to an hour and a half, and I think we'll be able to do it because we're not going to go through every little tidbit of SmackDown. We're just going to kind of talk about the major stuff and what the hell we saw at the end of the show last night with the red lights coming on when Roman was leaving the ring. A lot of people thought that could be Brock, but a lot of people thought that could be the Demon. I'm leaning towards the Demon because it took a lot of help to get Balor beat last night with the Usos jumping him before the match. So bringing the Demon character back, I think, is great. SmackDown was pretty good last night too. Friday night was not a bad night of wrestling. It was good on all accounts. And of course, it's a fun weekend because tomorrow's All Out. Let's go over here to the chat. Say hi to Red Raven Rucker. How Wheezy's in the house. So is Deshaun Robinson. So we got Monkey Wrenches right off the bat. And Diet Vodka is here too. Right on. I got some mods in here. Good to see Muhammad. And David Brown is back as always. I'm glad you had a great day on your birthday. We got very close birthdays. Yours was yesterday. Mine is Monday. And I'm holding out. I'm reserving the right, I should say, to not do a Raw review Monday. As of right now, that's the plan. But I don't know what the hell I even have planned for next week. So I may or may not be here on Monday. I hate to throw that at you guys and give you, an inconsistency there. I'm just not sure yet. The plan is right now to be here, but just keep that in mind. I might cancel the Raw stream, especially if Raw sucks. I ain't going to come up here on my birthday and talk for a couple of hours about 3 hours of nonsense. So we'll see. We'll play that by ear. Either way, I'm going to be up here tomorrow, and I'm going to be up here Wednesday for sure. So just keep that in mind. But happy belated birthday to you, David Brown. I'm sure you are not as old as I am, and hope you had a great one. Glad you're here. Big J, what's up? Tatiana, did I get you earlier? Tatanani? I say your name wrong every time. I suck. You got a first name like Steve? That might be easier. Zane G, what's up, dude? Sam Thompson. Sonic Trey is here. That's right. It's your birthday today. You told me that in a previous live stream. Right on. Rock on September birthdays. You know what that means, don't you? Our parents boned on New Year's Eve. Something to think about. And you, just like David and just like myself, probably have had lots of birthdays in our lives that's landed on Labor Day. It's kind of cool to have a birthday that kind of matches up with like a 3-day weekend holiday kind of thing. Happens all the time. So very cool. Happy birthday to you, Dre. Trey, excuse me, and good to see you back. Kyle Scully in the house. We got Alex Bryant, J.R. Foltz, Jason. Devlin's here. Holy shit, monkey wrenches out the ass. MJ Parker, Justin Luigi DeRaw Gaming is here. Brian and Jason, right on. Good to see a handful of you that are here already. Like I said, thumbs up, do that deal. Give me some help, and we'll get into some stuff here in one moment. Just want to say hello and shout out all of the current patrons on the Patreon page. Thank you, as always, for your months, weeks, and many of you years of support, including brand new Patreon subscriber as of this week, Connor Delaney, Divine Ricks, you've come along the last couple of weeks as well. Ryan, JJ Legg, Nikita, Chris Miner, Super Fluffy Toaster, Deshaun Robinson, Jay Smoove, Martin Can, Apron Bump, Alan Carter, Brandon Yelverton, Nick Musser, Jimmy Anderson, K-Dogs, Kennel, Ryan Y, Devlin Husband, who is also here, John Redifer, Claudio Clavadetcher, Daniel Rodriguez, Josiah Blevin, Scott Moss, Barry MK, John Riffle, Michael Cuomo, Naveed, Blake Moran, Keith Salyers. Dudes, as always, thank you very much. When I look at some of these dollar amounts, lifetime for some of y'all, it's humbling. Thank you so much for everything y'all do. Anywho, like I said, we got wrestling news to get into, but also results, and we got to predict the entire All Out pay-per-view tomorrow. So let's start with just some news tidbits, nothing crazy, just 3 or 4 things I wanted to touch on. The first one is the latest on Adam Cole. Now, there's a lot of speculation. Fix my windscreen. It's a little crooked. There we go. A lot of speculation that we could see Mr. Bay tomorrow on All Out. There's also been some very heavy rumors that we're going to see Daniel Bryan tomorrow as well. So your guess is as good as mine if AEW makes 2 debuts like that on the same show, or if they spread these out or whatever. But Adam Cole is a free agent. They've been teasing it on their end a little bit with Britt Baker on Dynamite. A lot of fans are hoping that he jumps to AEW. It seems like that might be the way he's leaning, but there's still no guarantees until he turns up somewhere, because it's a very rare situation where you got a guy that's a total free agent and can literally be on either show he wants tomorrow. Not many wrestlers find themselves in that position. Usually they're re-signing or before their deal is up or whatever, or they're released before their deal is up. You know, very few are big stars and don't resign and finds themselves in that negotiating position. And now that AEW exists, you're going to probably see a lot more of that. And I think what makes this Adam Cole situation so interesting is that it really could set a precedent for like future negotiations down the line. And AEW has got a big reason for that. Now, the latest here on Adam Cole is a report by Fightful Select that noted his meeting with Vince McMahon. While it went well and the things that were discussed, apparently there was one big thing that Adam Cole was not willing to bend or break on at all, and basically considered it a non-negotiable demand, and that was that his Twitch channel is not going anywhere. Now, like a week or so ago, he was on his Twitch channel, reassured the fans that it's not going anywhere, it's here to stay, and he guarantees it's never going anywhere. So that really told us nothing in terms of where he re-signed, but it did tell us that if he stays with WWE, they're going to give him that. So he either re-signs and they bend on this edict that came in late last year about the third-party affiliations, the cameos, the Twitches, all that stuff. So he's guaranteeing it's not going anywhere, which means he's either going to AEW, where they don't give a fuck what you do, or he's sticking with WWE, and he's gotten them to cave on that that rule that they have. So what's interesting is that if he does stay with WWE, and the report goes on to say, by the way, that was the one thing that he told them that he's not willing to negotiate on, and apparently they were even a little bit hesitant to talk to him about it because they knew they didn't have any leverage. He's holding all the cards here. If they want to keep him, they have to cave on this. So you have to wonder in Vince's head, like, how dead set is he on that? To me, it's so ridiculous that they even did this to begin with, especially, when wrestlers, can use that as just, a nice little side hustle. Also, it keeps them out of trouble. I wish we had Twitch in the 80s. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Iron Sheik, might not gotten pulled over with a fucking pound of blow in the car if they would have had a Twitch channel or something. Actually, they probably would have. They're both nuts. But, imagine if you had this type of stuff back then that kind of kept the talent just a little bit more well-behaved, a little more professional, a little bit just less trashy, like what wrestling used to be. I mean, some wrestlers were dirty, back in the day. So the fact that Vince and WWE are just so up their own asses that they won't allow the talent to do this unless WWE gets a cut or whatnot. It rubbed everybody the wrong way. And you have to wonder on their end, if they're willing to cave on this, are they wondering to themselves, man, we might agree to this for Adam Cole. However, this is something now that's going to come up in any major stars negotiation. Anybody that we want to keep that also has a Twitch channel is probably going to ask for this to be allowed. And they have to wonder that if they start with Cole, then how many more do you do? And if they start with Adam Cole, maybe somebody who was forced to shut down their Twitch, their contract is up in a year. Now they're saying, and WWE assuming wants to keep them. Maybe there's somebody WWE doesn't care about. Go, leave. We don't give a shit. But if it's somebody that they want to keep, something like this could be another negotiating tool for the future for anybody that maybe wants to try to retain their Twitch personality. I don't know what Xavier Woods has worked out with WWE. I think they own his up, up, down, down or something like that. So they probably got him by the nuts. But, there's some out there like Adam Cole, who apparently I don't really go on Twitch. I haven't seen what he does, but apparently he kind of keeps it completely void of wrestling. He goes by a different name. They never discuss wrestling. It's just gaming, gaming, gaming. Yes, people are coming there because it's him, but it's not like a wrestling type of deal where I think a lot of other streamers might. I think they just chat. They read the chat. They talk about wrestling. They're talking about shit all the time. It's almost like a shoot interview with a game controller in your hand. And Adam Cole really doesn't do that. So, as a fan, of course, you guys know where I stand on this. I'm going to support him wherever he goes and whatever he decides to do. But if it was up to me in any way, which it's not, I would love to see him go to AEW. There's just too much stuff there. There's too much history. There's just so much fresh shit he can do there where we know exactly what he's going to do on the main roster. So I'm very happy. It makes me so aroused. It's better than sex or pizza or winning the lottery. If I was reincarnated, I would dedicate my next life to putting myself into a position to where I can one day give a non-negotiable demand to WWE. That's got to feel so good. The way they just use everyone as puppets and, and how they just control your goddamn life. Anytime you come across a talent like a CM Punk, like a Brock Lesnar, like a Chris Jericho, here like an Adam Cole, anybody that just kind of has leverage and can kind of get anything they want. Hey, if you want me, you're going to have to do this, 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 and this, and then they have to do it. I would just love that. It's got to feel so good to finally put them in their place for once, to finally have them by the balls. And anytime, any talent, male or female, can accomplish this, I am going to be a fan of theirs. So if Adam Cole stays, I hope he takes him to the cleaners and they pay through the nose and they give him everything he fucking wants. Let him do his Twitch channel, give him a bowl of only orange Skittles, whatever he desires, he should get. But at the same time, I also don't want Adam Cole to fall victim of a buyer's remorse situation or where then they're going to just de-push him and fuck with him out of spite because they paid him out the ass. Or if they do what they did to Braun Strowman, allowed him to negotiate a big deal and then cut him because they felt like he wasn't worth the money anymore. To me, it just feels like the best overall place for him, for his life, his body, his career, his sanity, everything would be AEW. So we'll see where he goes. Either way, his Twitch channel isn't going anywhere, and that's what makes me happy. This talent works so hard. They travel so much. They're on the road all the time. You got to have some sort of an escape to get away from it all. You guys know about that. Some people talk about YouTube as being an escape. Hey, Greg, your podcast is my escape. Wrestling is my escape, or football is my escape, or whatever. These wrestlers, this is probably something that really helps them deal, maybe even from a mental health perspective, to do something like that they enjoy. And to take that away from them, I just find to be just dirty. Whether or not they have the right to do it, it's beside the point. It's just not cool. And if I'm a wrestler, without being on the inside of either, it feels like AEW is the better environment for anybody in terms of just not going fucking crazy. So we'll see where Adam Cole winds up. A little bit of an update on Sasha Banks today as well. Fightful Select reported that Sasha Banks has been out of action since before SummerSlam when she was pulled from the event. Since then, Banks had not been around shows at all until this past Friday's episode of SmackDown. Several sources told Fightful that Banks was backstage at this week's SmackDown. We have not been told of any creative plans at the moment for Banks. So whatever the hell's going on with her, looks like she's at least around and she's there. And they're probably just waiting for a time to work her back in to the storyline. Right now, they're going with Bianca and Becky. I would probably just let them do that, and I wouldn't insert Banks into that. So, I think if the fans want Banks back, I don't know what the situation was and why she missed SummerSlam, but now since she did, you do have to think about when the best time to bring her back in is, because she had a scheduled match against the champion at SummerSlam. You can't just, even if Becky and Bianca are doing something, you can't be like, oh, fine, just give Sasha Banks something else to do. Well, what else is she going to do? She was supposed to be at SummerSlam to face Becky. That's her business. As soon as she comes back to TV, she's going to want to get right back into that fold. It would make no sense for her to come back and just have a random singles match, without really explaining the SummerSlam stuff. So I can understand holding her off TV, at least for the time being. And I don't know if that's going to be until after Extreme Rules or whatnot. Big SmackDown set for next week in Madison Square Garden. Contract signing with Becky and Bianca for Extreme Rules. And in my mind, I think we see Banks after Extreme Rules. That's where I'd put her anyway. To bring her back before then, she's just going to get in the way of this shit. And which might still happen. I don't know. But she's at least around, which means and indicates and implies that she's well and not sick or injured in any way, and they're just waiting to plug her back in. So we'll see when she turns up. Or when she turns up, excuse me. We have big news on Gable Stevenson, big Olympic gold medalist who's been teasing signing with WWE for quite some time, even met with Vince McMahon at SummerSlam during SummerSlam weekend. Tweeted out today, quote, put pen to paper, end quote. So looks like he is signed with WWE. That's a big signing. This dude is 21 years old, and I think he's been kind of wanting to join. He is an absolute beast. Like I said, we've been looking for the next Kurt Angle, for the next Brock Lesnar. Nobody has really come around yet that's been anywhere near those two. Maybe this is our next chance. I mean, the age on this kid alone. If I'm Vince, I'm signing him to a 30-year contract, or something like that. So hopefully, to be an Olympic gold medalist, you have to be very focused, very dedicated, and you can't be an idiot. So, I worry about kids that age, if they're really ready for this type of spotlight and shit, and if they can, check their ego and actually get in there and work and know how to do business and be professional and whatnot. But dude's got an Olympic gold medal around his neck, so who the fuck am I to judge him? So hopefully he will be a huge success. And, I think of Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle and Brock, I guess, as the three that had combat or wrestling experience prior to WWE and came in and picked it up, as well as anybody could pick anything up. Kurt was in the main event within a fucking year. So was Brock. So was Ronda. So we've been needing that again. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this dude turns out to be just an incredible beast and Hall of Famer one day. He's only 21. Who knows where he'll be when he's 31. So anyway, we'll see. We'll keep our eye on him. We'll get reports, I'm sure, down the road of when he's due or set to report to the PC. And he'll probably have to work there a bit. This is not somebody I'm putting on TV for a while, but at the same time, he's an Olympic gold medalist. So how do you think they would approach bringing him to TV? Is he somebody that they're like, we don't want him spinning his wheels for 3 years in NXT. We got to get this. We got to, exploit this Olympic gold medal shit and really put him on TV. So you just train him in the PC until he's ready for that, and boom, it's leapfrog NXT right to the main roster. Or should he go through the process? If this was the NXT of 3 years ago, I would say he absolutely needs to be in NXT because they'll have some killer matches there. But now with the new direction of NXT, I don't know. I don't know what's better for him. So we'll see. He's there now, and best of luck to him. Funny news coming out of New Japan. Wrestle Kingdom has announced that New Japan has announced that Wrestle Kingdom 16 in 2022 in January is now going to be a 3-night event. So they're countering WWE WrestleMania going to 2 nights now, seemingly permanently, most likely starting in Arlington this year or next year. Wrestle Kingdom's going to go to 3 nights, and it's going to be, of course, it's always held on January 4th. I think it's either a Tuesday or a Wednesday this year. And so the dates are going to be January 4th, 5th, and 8th. So it's probably going to be like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, I think is what it is. So that's interesting. 3-night event of Wrestle Kingdom. I've been watching that every year since Chris Jericho faced Kenny Omega in his first New Japan match, whatever year that was now. Was that 2017? I think I'm a 4-year. That makes me a 4 or 5 year subscriber now of a New Japan World, which I pull up and watch about 6 times per year. Not sure if I'm getting my money's worth out of that or not. Actually, sure I am. It's $10. But anyway, we'll be watching Wrestle Kingdom this year. Should be fun, and it's going to be 3 nights. That's fun. Anywho, that wraps it up for the news. That's all I really have. There was some other like tiny little tidbits going around, but nothing I thought was really worth discussing. Unless you guys have something for me that I missed in the past hour or so. Steven Scott, yeah, Adam Cole could have pulled Rick Rude if the shows were taped. I think WWE would have made sure that wasn't going to happen. Make sure that Cole did not tape anything ahead of time that they were going to show when he showed up there. Can we just skip to AEW, please? No, we got a long way to go. I'm kidding, not that long of a way to go. But you're going to have to wait a little bit. I do have other stuff to discuss. Yeah, I mean, you think that, Olympic wrestlers would be, automatic home runs, going into wrestling, but it's not always like that. But we've been waiting for that next Kurt. So maybe we got him in Stevenson. But anywho, let's run into and roll through SmackDown and AEW Rampage a little bit. Like I said, Cliff Notes version of these results. Not going to go through everything, but just want to kind of run through what we saw last night, and then we'll get into all-out predictions. 10 matches I have here. I did not see if there was something involving Andrade advertised, not that I know of. I thought I read something where he was teasing facing a mystery opponent. He might still do that. He might come out unannounced tomorrow, get on the mic and say, hey, I was supposed to face Pac. Give me somebody out here. Could be a perfect place for Daniel Bryan or Braun Strowman or somebody like that to come out. I don't know. But from what I can see here, we got 10 matches. So we'll be predicting those in just a little bit. But first, let's just briefly touch on last night's SmackDown. Pretty good show. I actually liked SmackDown last night. Thought it was good. There was some typical WWE stuff in there, which we're also always used to, obviously. But, for the most part, it was not a horrible show. We opened up with the Street Profits defeating the Usos via disqualification at the end of the match. During the brawl, the Usos get laid out, pisses off Roman Reigns, who's watching in the back with Paul Heyman, and he says, bring me my cousins. God, I love Roman Reigns. He is so fucking good. He was so great later on. I'll smash Brock when I see him. Oh my God, what an awesome dude. Anyway, we'll talk about him in a minute. After that, we get Becky Lynch out to the ring, cutting a promo, talking about her title win at SummerSlam, talking about how Bianca wasn't ready and WWE called on the biggest possible name they could, and she took advantage and won the title, whatnot. Bianca then, of course, comes out. They both just looked fantastic here. This was a pretty good segment, even though it was kind of a typical formulaic segment. I thought it was still pretty good. And Bianca, she's good at working the crowd, because it's funny, there's still, I think the Becky heel turn is almost like it's an evolutionary process. She isn't all the way there yet. They're trying to work to get her to that. I still think turning Becky heel was a fucking huge mistake because she was such an over babyface, but, they're trying, and I think she'll eventually get there. But she's still getting that mixed reaction from the crowd and whatnot. So is Bianca. But Bianca is really good at, kind of keeping the crowd on her side. And the way she was talking to Becky, she hung with her on that stage and that spotlight. She feels very comfortable. She is so young, got such a bright future. But the way she was kind of standing with Becky promo-wise, who can be very intense. And she's like, yeah, I'm just doing a lot of this, Becky, but I want a match right now. I'm prepared now. So lays down the challenge. Of course, Becky says no. But later on, Adam and Sonya had informed Becky that she's not going to be able to say no. The title match is going to happen, and it's going to happen at Extreme Rules next week, September 10th. Big SmackDown from Madison Square Garden. We got the contract signing for that match between Becky and Bianca. That should be interesting. And we also have Brock advertised on that show and another big Wrestle or SummerSlam rematch. So big week next week. Rick Boogs, the manager of the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, is now getting a push. He's been in the ring the last couple of weeks. The IC champion has now been in the role of manager for Boogs. Nakamura on the outside. He defeated Dolph Ziggler in a match pretty much clean. So they're pushing Boogs. We'll see how far he goes in the future and if they're going to do any sort of a split with Nakamura, and maybe if this push is designed to put the IC title on him. I hope not. I don't like it when they do that. But Nakamura should maybe get back in the ring soon. Whenever. After that, we get a pretty good match between Seth Rollins and Cesaro. Seth gets DQ'd when he hits Cesaro with a chair. He pulls off or breaks off the brace or the bar from the chair and puts Cesaro in the Roman thing or the Edge thing that Edge did to Roman. And Edge then comes out and makes the save there. And like I said, we got the big SummerSlam rematch next week, Seth Rollins versus Edge. I think Seth is probably going to get the win next week. It's going to be cool to see Edge wrestling in Madison Square Garden, man. My God. But Seth is kind of going off the deep end a little bit. His promos are very bizarre. You can tell he's unstable as hell. And, even talking about how Edge is his favorite now, and I've gone back and watched every match of Edge's career, and I found how he beat me. I figured out how he was able to beat me, and he's not going to be able to do that again. He's all over the place, heaping heavy praise on Edge while still having this demonic type of demeanor to him where you're like, he's going to fucking slaughter Edge, one of these days. So I'm a little bit scared of Rollins and honestly think he's doing the best work of his career right now in terms of from a character standpoint. Good stuff. I have no idea what I was even looking at with Carmella and Liv Morgan. Carmella's standing there with the fan blowing in her hair and probably playing up on her sexiest woman thing, and then the camera just kind of pans over to Liv, who's just standing there like with a WTF look on her face. I don't even know what that's about. Kevin Owens show had Logan Paul and Baron Corbin on there. Now, Baron Corbin has recently transitioned into Happy Corbin, which I love. Sad Corbin was pretty awesome. I didn't want to see Sad Corbin end because I thought if you turned Corbin back into that smug douche, he already was that, and nobody liked him. But, doing the Cameron Grimes deal with him, I think, is super entertaining. And Baron Corbin has proven what I've said 12,000 times since 2017, is that he's not nearly as bad as you think he is in your head. And if you just watch him and you watch his work, yeah, he can be boring. Yeah, he has a dumb face and shit like that, but he's really good in the ring. He can be counted on. He's always safe. He always comes through. He always just goes out there and does his job. Maybe some people felt he lacked in the charisma department or whatever, but, they've been trying to work with his character a little bit. He's had lots of different, renditions of himself, and he's always done pretty well overall. I remember a couple years ago, big argument with people who, when I was like, man, if they released Baron Corbin, AEW would pick him up in a second. You would have thought I joined the Taliban. Oh my God, good mic work. How stupid are you? They would never sign AEW. I'm like, how stupid are you? The fact that you are so blinded by this irrational hate that you can't even understand what a good wrestler and good worker is. Yes, he's not the ratings driver. He's not the ratings king or the demo god, obviously, but he does his job. And this is probably the most entertaining I've ever found him to be. And he's doing really good in his last two little character renditions. Sad and Happy Corbin have both been great. And he was really cool here with Kevin Owens, even kind of buddying up to Logan Paul after they kind of had a couple of words backstage a few weeks back when he was Sad Corbin. And Kevin Owens then attacking Logan Paul on the mic. I'm sure there were some heavy edits with the crowd here because I was in San Diego for Raw a couple of weeks ago when Logan Paul was there. And, man, you couldn't even hear yourself think they were booing him so hard. So if the same thing was happening here, I'm sure they were tinkering with the audio a little bit there. But Owens and Paul are about to go toe-to-toe and start fighting. And as soon as they're about to come to blows, Corbin steps in, attacks Owens, beats the shit out of him, and lays him out. And I guess that's going to be your feud. So you might get some sort of an Extreme Rules deal between these two guys with Logan Paul in the corner. I don't know. But that was what it was. Really wish they'd put Kevin Owens in a title program or not title program because he's been in that even this year. But give him a title run sometime in the future. You might lose this guy to AEW whenever his contract is up if you don't at least consider that. So y'all should consider it, WWE. Rey Mysterio continues to fuck things up for Dominic. He's got to take on Sami Zayn again. Mysterio's kind of giving Dominic the old attaboy. Come on, you get another match with him. Maybe you got a chance to beat him this time. And he keeps saying he's going to stay out of his business. But then during the match, when Zayn, I think, is trying to run away, Ray comes down there to stop him from getting counted out, which would have been a victory for Dominic. And Zayn winds up getting back in the ring. And when Dominic is kind of wondering what Ray is doing there, he eats a haluva kick and he loses again. So they're continuing the deal with Dom and Ray. I don't know if Dom is going to be able to pull off a heel turn here, but what about Ray doing the heel turn? Ray's the one really fucking shit up here. At this point, if Dominic gets pissed and turns on Ray, who can blame him? So it might not be a situation of Dom turning on his dad. Dom might be the babyface in that situation because Ray keeps fucking up every time he comes out there. Ray's been wrestling for 30 years. He should know better. What's going on with Sonya Deville brushing off Naomi like she's nothing? Ever since she got to SmackDown, they're making a big deal now of Sonya really not even being interested enough to look her in the eye and talk to her. So she's being disrespectful as hell. Naomi even shows up in front of Sonya last night with her gear on. All right, let's ready to rock and roll, and I want a match. You said I was going to get a match or something, and Sonya just is so oblivious. So I don't know where they're going with this. I hope it's going to result in Naomi just snapping and beating the shit out of Sonya Deville. Or maybe this is going to get Sonya Deville back in the ring. What if Naomi's first opponent turns out to be Sonya Deville? They might do that. Because, I mean, at what point is Naomi just going to get fed up and just go off on her? You know, off come the earrings and they're ready to scrap. And she gets down on Sonya and just rips her apart. Maybe they do something where she's suspended. You know, think about that. Oh, that's a great idea. We were talking about this a week ago. Somebody suggested in the Raw chat a couple of weeks ago about how to get Naomi heel. This is how you do it right here. Finally, Naomi just gets mad. She just annihilates Sonya. This will actually probably get her over. Beats the hell out of Sonya maybe. And then, of course, Naomi gets suspended because she beat up an authority figure. But who's Naomi married to? You know, maybe Paul Heyman goes to Pierce and Sonya and gives them an ultimatum. You know, Roman is not going to compete on the show tonight unless you rehire Naomi, or he won't be on SmackDown anymore. He'll take that title and go home. He'll take that title and go to Raw. He won't be here. You might want to bring Naomi back. And then they do. She comes back with a different look. She's dropped that colorful glow shit, and now she's a member of the Bloodline. They need a woman. They need a woman. You can bring Tamina or Nia Jax in, but Naomi would just make as much sense as anybody. So bring her in there. That's what I would do. That's where I would make this go. The only problem with that is the Bloodline are heels, and Naomi's a face, and Sonya's a heel. So if Naomi goes ape shit on Sonya, the fans are going to enjoy that. But maybe you could still make it work somehow. You could give us both. You could give us the satisfaction of watching Naomi put an end to Sonya's disrespect. You know, but then when Naomi's suspended, when she comes back, she's not the same Naomi. You can then transition her right into being a heel, and maybe she can go out there and beat up a babyface real quick just to remind everybody that she's kind of heel now. I mean, they did it with Becky overnight, so why not with Naomi? We might be able to get both, but I think that's a hell of an idea, and I think they should do something like that. All I have left for SmackDown from last night, of course, is the main event. Roman Reigns defending the Universal title against Finn Balor. Big, rare title match here for SmackDown. Now, there was a lot of Brock Lesnar stuff going on here as well during the show. Now, earlier on, Heyman is talking to Kayla, I think, and his phone rings. Now, his phone ringtones are set to play the theme music of whoever's calling him. So Brock's music starts playing on the phone, and he doesn't answer it at first, and I think Brock calls back, and he picks up, and he's like, there's not a lot of privacy right now, and, you know, there's not a good time or whatever. And then you just hear him say something like, okay, I'll deliver the message. So later on, Heyman is talking to Roman about Brock, and Roman, he's like, you know, we got a problem. And Roman's like, but Finn Balor, I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to smash him, he said, which is funny. And then and Heyman's like, no, not with Balor, with Brock. And then Roman's like, next time I see Brock, I'm going to smash him too. So you got the problem with Brock, not me. And so that's still kind of simmering there, and you got to wonder with Heyman, you know, still talking to Brock on the phone and shit, you know, where exactly is he gonna lie here when all this happens or whatnot. So that was all kind of interesting, and we know they're probably going to be building to that crown jewel match with Roman and Brock. So we go to the ring in the main event for the match. Finn Balor comes out, and he's jumped. He gets the shit kicked out of him before the match by the Usos. So now he's got to go into this title match at a huge disadvantage. He puts up a really good fight. You know, I like the fact that in a lot of ways they sort of protected Balor a little bit here. Having him get jumped before the match allows Roman to get the win a little bit easier, which Roman gets a lot of help. That is something that Brock never did and never needed. A lot of times Brock would just go out there and beat people with no help. Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns or whoever else, he just go out there and kick the shit out of them when everybody thought it was going to be, you know, maybe the opposite or a little bit more competitive of a match. But Roman winds up locking in the guillotine on Finn Balor. Balor passes out, of course. Roman wins the match and retains the title. But as he's leaving and they're on the outside of the ring, the lights kind of flash red. And some people had mentioned that it was kind of like the heartbeat thing, which was what the demon kind of used there. So that might be Balor's way of saying, hey, you got a cheap one on me. The demon is coming back. And that, honestly, I don't know. But that, wouldn't that be such an awesome full circle type of moment if he was able to come back as the demon and win the Universal title? I just think there's too much star power at the top right now for a demon title run at the moment with Lashley and Roman, and now you got Brock back. Having the demon win now would be odd unless it was like kind of a quick title win and he dropped it back and you can go into WrestleMania with your big matches. But bringing the demon back, I think, is a great idea, provided I just hope he's protected and still maybe only comes out for big matches, big pay-per-views or whatnot, and still finds himself in main event matches. And last night was a little bit reassuring. The fact, like I said, that, it wasn't just a match and Balor was beaten. Even if it's against Roman, they still didn't beat him completely clean. They had the Usos out there to soften him up, so to speak. So you never know. This probably will lead, if I'm guessing, to a rematch at Extreme Rules, Roman Reigns versus the Demon. And that's going to be very telling to see if, Roman actually puts the Demon down clean or not. Because correct me if I'm wrong, did the Demon did lose clean to the Fiend? No, the Fiend and the Demon never came face-to-face, did they? I don't remember. I think Balor's got like one loss as the Demon in WWE. He's got a couple in NXT. So, that would be kind of interesting. And I think Balor did face Brock one time as well, didn't he? So I'm hoping they keep Balor, at the top. That would be fucking sweet. So it looks like the Demon is on his way back, and Roman Reigns, since the Brock match is probably coming at Extreme Rules, Roman needs the he's going to be coming at Crown Jewel. Roman needs the Extreme Rules opponent, which could be the Demon. And maybe that's where we see Brock. I don't know. But we're going to see Brock sooner than that. We're going to see Brock next week in Madison Square Garden. I can't help but think about WrestleMania 20. Help me out. Has Brock worked the Garden since 20? He has to have. Barry, anybody in the chat? He's definitely worked the Garden since WrestleMania 20, right? But he'll be in the Garden next week. So will Edge in a wrestling match. When was the last time that shit happened? Edge wrestling in Madison Square Garden against Seth Rollins. That's got to be your main event, man. It better be. And we also have the Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair Extreme Rules contract signing for the SmackDown Women's title. All of that is next week from Madison Square Garden. 2 huge New York TV shows coming up here for WWE and AEW, of course, on the 22nd at Arthur Ashe. Fun month. September is usually a quiet month, but it's kind of shaping up to be pretty damn fun. As of right now, though, little weird scheduling thing, unless some miracle happens, I actually have to miss Extreme Rules. I have a family obligation I don't think I can get out of, and I was told about it in June, and it just happened to line up that it's Extreme Rules Day. So as of right now, I'm going to get a review up, but it's probably going to be very late or the next day. It's not going to be the normal streaming time of pay-per-views. I can't even remember the last time I had to miss one, but we'll see if I can work something out. But as of right now, no Extreme Rules for me. I'll be getting home as soon as the show is over, but I can't come up and do a review on something that I didn't see. So I might have to just watch it late, do a review late, record something. Don't know yet, but that's a little bit of bad news for me for September. Anywho, last night's AEW Rampage was pretty badass as well. These hour-long shows are so easy to watch. Before we run through those results here and then start predicting the pay-per-view, let me just cruise up here and knock out these super chats that I did see coming through in my peripherals from earlier and seeing if there's any other comments here I might have missed. Yeah, Dustin, you bring up a good point. Next year with the show being it's in Arlington is where that Jerry's World is located, right? That's 100,000 fucking seat place. They did WrestleMania 32 there. So are they going to do 100K each night? What are we going to be looking at pandemic-wise at that point, too? Are these fucking morons going to be shoving livestock dewormer up their ass to try to treat this thing? Or are we going to get it under control and are people going to stop being stupid? So it depends on what is going on. But if it's full-blown, man, 100K 2 nights in a row, Nobody's ever done that. You know, they've done the 100,000 now. So now what's the next big goal? What's the next big step? Pack in 100K 2 nights in a row? I don't think they can do it, to be honest. If they do, they're going to pad it heavily or they're going to lie. I can't imagine any more than 70 or 80,000 being in there for either night. But we'll see if they can do it. They did it in 32, so you never know. They're going to need a big match, though. A couple of them to pull that off. I didn't catch the new NXT arena. I didn't see that. I'm behind on that. I'll look at that tonight. Zane G, thank you for the $5, man. 26 years ago. Let's give props to Lex Luger for the debut on Nitro. I thought today's date looked familiar. That's right. 26 years ago, Monday Nitro debuted in the Mall of America. I will never, ever forget that night. And I watched it, and Luger came out dressed in the weirdest ass white shirt I've ever seen. A week after SummerSlam. Crazy, man. Shocked the world. And then Monday Night Wars, it was on immediately when he showed up. That's interesting that today is the anniversary. Michael Kumo, thank you for the $5 as well. I read that Lex claimed he knew that WCW was going to start going downhill in 1997. Wasn't 97 WWE's or WCW's best year financially? Yeah, probably was. I remember in 97 still thinking they were cooking pretty good. 98 was when I started really rolling my eyes. I'm like, all right, they're getting a little bit ridiculous with some of the stuff now. But they had their moments in 98. They had the Goldberg victory. They had the Horseman return. They had some good stuff in 98. But 97, I thought they were still firing on all cylinders. The Cruiserweight division, I thought, was at its best in 1997. This was also when they brought Piper in. You know, everybody was just still going there. And the NWO was still doing shit, you know. So I thought 97 was good. But in 98, you could feel like, all right, it's starting to get a bit stale. They're starting to be a lot redundant a lot. And then in the NWO growing and branching off and the storylines they were trying to manage during that time, all at the same time of WWE really getting on the map with Stone Cold and stuff. And the tide was shifting. So I feel like you add a year to that, that's when it really felt like it was going downhill. And it went downhill quickly because by the time they got to 99, WCW was a shell of itself. They fell quickly and they fell hard. Yeah, I know. Balor lost to the Demon of Samoa Joe. I'm just trying to think of WWE. Oh, Finn Balor is undefeated as a Demon in WWE. Okay, thank you for that. I couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought he dropped a match, but he did not. He did face The Fiend, but that was as regular Finn Balor, not Demon. Anywho. Let's move on to Rampage. By the way, smash the thumbs up button for me if you don't mind, if you're here. And don't forget, we're going to be here tomorrow after All Out. Let me just say hi as well to Aaron Gothier, dropping $5 in right now. Do you think WWE dropped Elias's musician gimmick because of Rick Boogs? There can only be one. Maybe, I wouldn't put it past them. They've done dumber things. They made Nikki Cross ASH because they didn't want 2 crosses on Raw, which is dumb. They made Shane Helms become Gregory Helms because they didn't want 2 Shanes back in the day. So they've done that before. But I think Elias was way overdue for a change because he's been doing the same shit for 5 years with no deviation from that at all. Heel or babyface, he does the same thing. And that's not good for him. He's got a ceiling, so he might be on TV every week and featured, but, is he really that creatively satisfied? So this might be something else. I thought if they didn't drop the musician gimmick that he would feud with Rick Boogs. But yeah, maybe WWE just wants one, but they still were different, Rick Boogs is just way, way too crazy. They have very, very vastly different personalities and stuff, so I think they could have both survived. But I don't know if they dropped Elias because they wanted to do something different with Elias, or if they dropped the music gimmick because they're bringing Rick Boogs. I don't know which one is true. Don't know. But would not be surprised with what you're suggesting there. Now we can get into AEW Rampage. Let's talk about last night's show real quick. Man, these hour-long shows are so easy to watch. They're not a chore. SmackDown was relatively easy to watch, but, still it's WWE and their nonsense can be a chore sometimes. When I say SmackDown was good last night, I mean like 45% of it was good. And to me, that's a plus. And plus, we had a title match in the main event between 2 wrestlers that I very, very, very much like. So it was a win-win for me last night. But Rampage was just small, condensed, fun. We had, I think, 3 matches on there and a fun promo. That's all I needed, and they really closed out the week strong, heading in now to All All Out. The show opened up with Malachi Black defeating Lee Johnson in a really good match. I love Malachi Black. It's a shame he's not booked for All Out, but I am all about this character. It's just so good to see him there be so dominant. Lee Johnson, even though he got his shit in, was handled rather easily by Malachi Black, who eventually, it was hilarious. He allows Lee to get a chair and use it on him. Go ahead, hit me. And Lee is holding the chair in his hand like, should I hit this motherfucker? And then Black just turns around, bam, Black masses him right in the jaw. He goes down like a ton of bricks. Malachi pins him for the win. And then when it's over, he just stands there and stands on his face. He's got his boot on his face. He's kind of leaning up against the ropes. I'm like, this guy, how did WWE drop the ball so embarrassingly bad on him? I'm still worried about what's going to happen when he gets in the ring with Cody Rhodes. That's a different conversation for a different day. But in terms of what Black is doing on AEW, I'm so fucking glad WWE released him. And, didn't look closely enough at his contract and allowed his 90-day to remain a 30 and got him over to AEW quicker than anybody else. And he's already off and running there with a head start, and he's doing awesome. And I just love the way he stood on that kid's face. Great shit. Dustin Rhodes, by the way, comes out. This is kind of like a, he's single-handedly trying to decimate the Nightmare family. So Dustin comes out, gets in the ring, kind of stands up to Black. Black leaves, and it's announced right after that we're going to get Malachi Black versus Dustin Rhodes this coming week on Dynamite, which is when our watch-alongs start. So that's going to be fun to watch with all you guys on Wednesday. If we're going to get a return of Cody Rhodes, I feel like it could be Wednesday. It's a show following up a pay-per-view. They're probably going to pull a big number. There's going to be, lots of talk and lots of buzz after All Out. So Cody, I can definitely see maybe coming back here because his brother's in the ring. And if you're Cody from a storyline perspective, Cody's going to want to be nearby or keep his eye on this match because it's his brother. And if Malachi starts murdering his brother, he's going to have to run out there. So I think that we'll see Cody possibly on Wednesday. But I think that's going to be an interesting match, Dustin and Malachi Black. So ready for that one. Man, the Miro promo was so good. I love Miro. Miro and Malachi Black. You look at them here, and it's like, was this so fucking hard? Granted, it took Miro a little bit. I was not a fan of what Miro was doing when he first got to AEW. I think they were trying to, and that's the thing. I wasn't even blaming anybody. I'm like, you just got to find your niche. You just got to try stuff first. He's not going to be able to be the same character as Rusev in WWE. They're not going to bring him in as the evil foreign, heel or whatever. They're going to want to try to tap into the charisma that is there. We've seen that even in WWE. He's a good wrestler with a good look. He can talk, and you just got to find the right thing for him to do. The video game thing, the Kip Sabian, the wedding and all that shit, none of that was really working or clicking for anybody. But then when he started changing a little bit, started getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more vicious. The promo, the verbiage he uses in his promos are just so great. God's favorite champion and talking about bending over his wife and shit like that. He is just hysterical to me. He's a combination of funny, very serious, very intense, and he's just got this wonderful arrogance about him that in a lot of ways is Roman Reigns like. I've been put here by God to teach everybody a lesson, that kind of thing. God's favorite champion. Love that shit. So he runs down Eddie Kingston a bit, talks about Eddie getting a charity contract from AEW and that he's soft. Eddie then comes out and says, Miro's God is full of shit, and I don't believe in your God, but if he was real, your God sent me here to punish you because you're the sinner. And Miro says, all right, but if you take one step closer to this ring, you're not going to make it to All Out. I'm going to redeem you right now. And Eddie Kingston goes, redeem these nuts. Oh, my God. Fucking killer segment. Love that shit. Oh, and Eddie Kingston also said that he's going to be targeting the neck of Miro because that's his weak spot. And he'll be hitting him with exploders and T-bones and whatnot and pile drivers and DDTs and all that shit. So I'm looking forward to that match. It's going to be a sleeper. I'm telling you. I've got 100% confidence that Miro's retaining the title. But, when it comes to Eddie, this is a match that, WWE would never book, because Eddie Kingston he's more like a Mick Foley at this point, he's not in any kind of shape, and he's not going to be going out there wrestling like Kurt Angle, but he can sure as hell have a good match, and he can connect with the crowd, and he can talk, and he can get violent and hang with just the best of them. Doesn't matter if he has muscles or not, he'll cut your fucking head off. So I think that this is going to be a match that's going to surprise a lot of people. I think in the end, Eddie, I would like to see some color here. I think we might see it in the cage match too, but here more than anything, I wanted to see a situation where Eddie is, I don't know, what does Miro call the accolade? What does he call that in AEW? I want to see a situation where Miro's got that on him, and Eddie, he's got Austin at WrestleMania 13 level blood streaming down his face. He's unconscious. He's blowing bubbles with the blood in his nose, and the referee has just got to stop the match. But he never gave up. He fought to the end. He took Miro to the limit a couple of times and got a couple of near falls on him, but in the end, Miro's just too much and just really viciously. And think about the position you're in when you're in the accolade. Your arms are out, essentially crucifying Eddie Kingston, blood. I mean, something like that would just be good, and it would really not only get fans to take notice of just what a hard fucking fighter Eddie Kingston is, even in a losing effort, but really how scary, dangerous, and vicious Miro can be. And this is a guy that might be adding a lot more gold to his, to his trophy case there than the one he's got, and make him a really, really strong, virtually, invincible TNT champion. And the more you build him like that, the bigger a deal it's going to be when he drops the title to somebody. He might be doing a lot right now of what Bobby Lashley did earlier this year with the United States title on his road to the world title. Miro could be doing that. It's gonna get crowded at the top. You're gonna have Punk there. You're gonna have Daniel Bryan there, possibly even Adam Cole. You still got Kenny. Cody will be back in the mix. MJF, if he wins tomorrow, is gonna be right at the top of the list as well. And you got Miro. It's crowded, but it can be managed. So we'll see. But right now, I am loving me some Miro, and I'm looking for that to be kind of a Cinderella match tomorrow in terms of just overall entertainment. It ain't going to be Brett and Shawn Iron Man match, but it's going to be entertaining and fun, and that's what it's all about. In my mind. Cody will get his win back in a dashing manner. He probably will. Isaiah B., thank you for the $5. Let me answer that one in just a second, right when I get through these Rampage results, and then we'll get into that before the predictions. After that, we had Chris Statlander beating Rebel and Jamie Hayter in a handicap match. Britt Baker's at ringside, kind of leaves Rebel high and dry there to get tapped out. They continue the attack on Statlander until Red Velvet comes out to make the save there. And that was just it other than the main event. Yeah, that was it. And the main event, of course, was the advertised match between Darby Allin and Danny Garcia. How cool was it to see Chris Jericho, CM Punk, and Taz all on commentary together? Excalibur was also there. That was your four-man booth for this match. That was really awesome. And just hearing Jericho and Punk interact a little bit was kind of cool. You've kind of wondered if they had heat or not. There's some talk of that in the past or whatever. So I feel like Punk has probably worked out any of the issues he has said or had with any Elite members or Jericho, and I'm still dying to know what the relationship between him and Colt Cabana is. But that was very kind of just surreal to have Punk and Jericho and Taz. Who would have ever thought you'd get those three men doing commentary during a wrestling match ever in your life? So that was interesting. Now, Sting is backing up Darby Allin. 2.0 is out there with Garcia. Pretty good match here. Darby wins with kind of a leg grapevine tie-up pretzel deal, and he leans back and pins Garcia to the mat. Immediately after the match 2.0 attack, Sting jumps in to try to help out. He's taking out Garcia while 2.0 work over Darby. Punk is on commentary. He's like, Sting's got this, right? Sting's got this. And Taz is like, I don't know. Finally, Punk gets up, rips the headset off, and Jericho yells out, "It's clobbering time," and Punk comes down and backs off 2.0, and as they're backing off, Darby recovers, gets in the ring, and comes flying out with a suicide dive, taking out both members of 2.0, and boom, face off with CM Punk as the show goes off the air. Excellent way to close out the show. Perfect way to do it. I don't know how you interpret that as anything else other than Punk and Darby will be on the buy-in tomorrow in order for QT and Paul White to main event. But that was still a very awesome moment with Darby and Punk closing out Rampage last night. Great shit. So that leaves us with All Out. We're going to predict this here in 1 second. Let me knock out this super chat from Isaiah. Came in a minute ago. Thank you very much, my friend. Do I think AEW would do a brand split with Bryan and Punk, maybe Cole and Bray? Do you feel like they have too many people and need to split the roster? No, I don't. I don't think they have too many people. The roster is not that big. Rosters this size has always been manageable without brand splits. I don't want to see a brand split. Like, I'm assuming you mean Rampage and Dynamite. I don't think they're going to do that. They want to construct their company differently. You don't want to do what WWE is doing. And I think, I might be in the minority. I don't even really hate the idea of them going to Universal Studios to do Dark, because Tony Khan has said that they kind of want to recapture the vibe of a WCW worldwide. And I never liked the studio show for TNA because that was where their main shows were produced. For a little side gig, for talent to get reps, get used to being in front of a crowd and finding a cheap way to produce TV, an efficient way, I should say, maybe not cheap, but an efficient way to produce TV in one location there where you can tape a bunch of shit and get stuff out and get content circulating out there that also looks different than your other main shows. And that's when I can kind of be okay with something being produced at a Universal Studios or whatnot, is if it's kind of like your B show, or in this case, their C show, where it's just something that gives them a different environment, kind of like what WWE did with NXT. So, when I didn't really like it when WCW Saturday Night would be there, when they've transitioned into that, because at the time before Nitro, that was their main show. And I'm like, it looks so cheesy, and same thing with Impact, the Impact Zone and stuff. I'm like, that's where all their big angles and shit would go down, setting up their pay-per-views. So in AEW's case, it's not the same thing. Their big shows are traveling shows in big arenas. This is elevation. This is in order to, focus on other talent, get a look at them, see if they're worth signing, get them experience, get them wins, because they go by a win-loss record in AEW. And I think the way they're doing things is just fine. Like I said a minute ago, it is going to get a little crowded at the top, but if that's what you want a good roster. Every good roster should be crowded at the top. WWF 80s was crowded at the top, except Hogan just held the belt the whole time. NWA was too, but Flair had it for a good portion of time too. But then when it got into the 90s and the Attitude Era in WWE and WCW, business moved faster, pay-per-views were more frequent, title changes were more frequent, a lot more frequent. Having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-long title runs were a thing of the past, and now they happen much more frequently to where everybody can kind of get a taste. Attitude Era, Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, Mankind, Taker, Kane, Jericho. Think about the names that were all at the top. They all got to run with the title, and it was all manageable. So I think with AEW, it can be the same thing, because they don't have people there like a Roman or a Charlotte that it feels like, the guy in charge is just fucking in love with, is going to just shove directly up our rectums. So it's just different there. So I don't think a brand split is necessary for them. We'll see in the future if they start having, booking problems or internal stuff or power struggles or shit like that. I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that yet. But right now, I'm not changing anything. The more the merrier, if you ask me. And Bray Wyatt coming in, he should be the leader of the Dark Order. He will be the leader of the Dark Order. I would love to see that. I would even love to see, Bray Wyatt have, I don't know if you do this or not, but maybe a promo when he takes over the Dark Order, and maybe having -1 in there and talking to -1 about how close he was with his dad, and and I know your father would want me to do this, and I want to do it in honor of your dad, and we're going to keep the Dark Order running, and, is a tribute to him. And is there really any better person at all to be the new leader of the Dark Order? It's got to be Bray Wyatt. There's nobody else even close to being the right person for that. So I hope he does. And you're right. So it's going to be a lot of talent, but it'll be fun finding out how it all works out. Anyway, I got a half an hour to bust out these all-out predictions, so let's get into that. Here's the matches that I've got. I'll stop playing around and pretending like QT and Paul White's going to be the main event. Unfortunately, it's not going to be, but I was hoping it would be. So I think they are going to bump Darby and Punk off the buy-in and put them on the main card. So the match that is going to be on the buy-in is a big-ass tag team encounter, Best Friends and Jurassic Express. So we got Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Wheeler Yuta taking on HFO, Private Party, and I believe Evans and Helico and Matt Hardy, right? Baby faces and heels, buy-in show, Chicago, big pay-per-view. I think Hardy Family Office could use a win, but I might want to kick off the night on the right track with the fans, give them a big babyface win, and two babyfaces on the babyface team are huge fucking babyfaces. Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy, beloved not only by the fans but AEW, and are you really going to want to pass up the chance to play Jungle Boy's theme twice? So if they win, we'll hear it twice. We'll get the big hug at the end. Fans will go nuts. I'm picking the babyfaces on the buy-in. We've got the Women's Casino Battle Royale on the main card now, it looks like, which is good. This could be anybody. They could bring somebody in here. Tony Khan said we should, and we're going to have surprises, and for us to expect surprises. So I think one of those surprises could be Ruby Soho, who released the video, the vignette. She's playing the song. Rancid has given her their blessing to use that, and she'll be having that, I guess, in AEW. At the very end, she had the little destination marks there on the bottom, and it appeared that to spell out Chicago. So she should be here. Where does she turn up? It seems like the Battle Royale would be a good place for her to turn up, unless she turns up in the title match later or something, but I don't think so. So if it turns out to be Ruby Soho, what's the stip here? The winner gets a women's title shot, kind of like in the near future, maybe 2 weeks on Dynamite. Is that something or a title match? They get it in like 2 weeks. Is that the stip here? So if you bring Ruby in and have her win, then she's going to have a title match with Britt Baker right off the bat. And I'm not even considering taking that title off of Britt Baker until the year 2035. So I don't think I'm bringing Ruby in just to beat her right away either, but it could be a good way for her to set up some sort of a feud or an angle if she comes into the Battle Royal as a surprise and she's ganged up on or screwed over by somebody or attacked by somebody. That can just be her entry point into AEW. Now she's got a program to work with. But I think there's a good chance we see her there. In terms of the winner not being a debuting star, I have two picks. I think it was either going to be Thunder Rosa, who is definitely going to have her big showdown with Britt Baker coming up sometime in the future, and Anna Jay, who returned on Wednesday. Anna Jay might be fun. Ty Conti is in this as well, so I don't know if maybe the two of them might have some sort of a problem or whatever. If one of them might turn on the other, I don't know. But it's kind of hard to pick a winner there, so I think I'm just going to go with Thunder Rosa, only because it's a safe bet or a safer bet. But, well, no, I don't want to go with Thunder Rosa either, because I think you hold off that. I think you hold off that match with Baker. So shit, man, your guess is as good as mine. You know what? I'm going to predict Ruby Soho. Fuck it. Ruby Soho wins the Casino Battle Royal. Some of these predictions I just make up as I go along, as you can tell. We did get a quick little video of the Jon Moxley and Satoshi Kojima contract signing as well last night. Not really much of a doubt in my mind on this one. I think the match is going to be interesting. For a lot of American fans who aren't familiar with Kojima and whatnot, but in the end, it's got to be Mox. So I got Moxley winning that. Miro defending the TNT title against Eddie Kingston, like I said earlier on. Kind of a no-brainer here, but I think this match can be a sleeper, and I think this match can be a Cinderella on the show and could be one that you come back and you come off of remembering a lot. And I think Eddie's performance is going to that's going to hinge a lot on his performance, I should say. And I think they should do a deal where he's just completely passed out in the accolade, blood running down his face, and he's breathing and, just sputtering and snorting, and referee has to call it. But he takes Miro to the limit. And I think of Undertaker faced, I think it was either Heidenreich or Luther Reigns or somebody like that. And he just had a heck of a time defeating him. He finally beat him. But I remember after the match, the referee's raising his hands, and Undertaker's got that look on his face, and he's looking down, I think it was Heidenreich, and he just kind of shaking his head like he was almost in disbelief that he got taken to that limit. You know, it would be kind of cool if Miro did something like that. You know, he's obscenely arrogant, so it's going to be hard for him to humble himself at all. But if he winds up winning, it would kind of be neat, I think, for him just kind of look down at Eddie and just kind of have this like look like I wasn't expecting that type of thing. I mean, you can tell a big story with your face. So I think that match tomorrow is going to be really fun. I'm just kind of looking forward to it. Hopefully they live up to the hype that I'm giving it. We'll find out. We've got the tag team titles on the line. This one's interesting. Young Bucks, of course, defending against the Lucha Brothers inside of a steel cage. Lucha Brothers won that Eliminator tournament to earn this right against the Bucks. And I had said all along before the Eliminator tournament even started, I was like, man, if the Luchas win, I'm not sure if I want to confine, I should say, the Bucks and the Luchas in a cage, because all the shit they do is usually so fun and requires a lot of outside of the ring type of stuff. Now you're kind of caging these guys. But we have seen Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers before in a regular match and shit. So putting them in a cage adds a different dimension. I thought it would kind of handcuff them a bit, but that's the match we're getting. Now, as I look at this card and as I'm predicting these matches, I'm not predicting any title changes, but I feel like we have to see one. And the only title match, when you look at all the titles on the line here on this card, look at them all. Is there any title that you really feel confident that is going to change? I don't feel confident that any of them are going to change. And you got enough shit going on the show where you could afford to not have a title change and it still be a good show, especially with that big Punk and Darby match and likely some surprises like Brian Danielson, I should say, and potentially Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, Braun Strowman, not Bray Wyatt quite yet. But all these possibilities, you don't necessarily even need any title changes, but if any titles have any chance at all of being coughed up, I think it's the Bucks. It's not really where I would have envisioned them dropping the titles. They've had the titles for so long now, I kind of envision that and being like a main event of a Dynamite somewhere or some big stage where it kind of gets the focus. But then again, you know, what happened on Dynamite, they beat the shit out of the Lucha Brothers. They even ate a Meltzer driver. I think Phoenix ate the Meltzer driver and got the pin. Then they lowered the cage and worked them over something good, you know, and you feel like the Elite, you know, there's not a ton of dissension, but you feel like they were about to start doing a storyline where the wheels were going to start coming off and Kenny was going to start dropping titles. And if Kenny is going to retain later, you know, I think, maybe you take the titles off the Bucks here. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I would not have envisioned myself predicting the Bucks to drop the title, but based on all of the other title matches here, I'm going to predict Lucha Brothers to win the tag team titles. I think they're going to do it. So if they don't, we ain't getting any title matches on the show, or title changes, I should say, on the show. So I think this is going to be the one. So Lucha Brothers for the win, new AEW tag team champions. We'll see. What I'm hoping is going to be the main event, QT Marshall taking on Paul White. Interesting developments last week with Paul White laying out the entire factory. And then the Gun Club came out late to kind of back him up. Billy Gunn winds up turning on Paul White, hitting him with a chair, and the factory and everybody just kicked the shit out of poor Paul White. So he's got to face QT Marshall now that who's going to have like 12 guys in his corner, or at least backing him up. He's got an uphill battle here, no matter how big the giant is. So what do they do here? To put this match on the pay-per-view and to not have Malachi Black in a match, I'd put Malachi and Dustin on this show before QT and Paul White in a heartbeat. But they're not doing that. They're doing that next week on Dynamite. So the fact that this match is on the card and Paul White is so overmatched and he's got so many guys against him, does he bring backup in the form of somebody who everyone considered to be the 2.0 version of him in WWE? Adam Scherr, Braun Strowman, maybe Paul White comes out and say, hey, Billy, you whacked me in the hip with the chair. I can't compete. Doctors won't clear me, but don't worry, QT. I've got a replacement. Brings out Braun Strowman. He comes down and just clears house, kills everybody, but then they'd be taking that Big Show 2.0 stuff over to AEW, which I don't think is a good idea. Or he could bring in Mark Henry. Mark Henry might get in the ring and mix it up a little bit too. It might be Paul White and Mark Henry beating the fuck out of a bunch of heels. We could see that. I don't think this is where you bring in Daniel Bryan or Adam Cole or anything like that, but I do think we have a potential to see either Mark Henry or Strowman come back up Paul White in this match. In the end, all I'm going to do is predict QT Marshall to lose, because I'm not even convinced completely that Paul White's going to be his opponent. Could be somebody else. So in the end, whoever gets in the ring and faces QT puts him down and pins him. So that's my prediction there. We got the final battle, at least what we think is the final battle, between MJF and Chris Jericho. Big stipulation here. If Jericho loses, he is going to be permanently on commentary, from here on out, and he won't wrestle again in AEW. This is a stipulation that I never really care too much about, because I don't think this is going to be a true retirement for Jericho. If he does lose, they can always work him back in. I think the right thing to do here is put MJF over, but then again, like I talked about, crowding the title scene. If MJF gets this type of victory here, how is the MJF character not going to go immediately on TV and demand a title shot and whatnot? I don't know where he sits in the rankings or whatever, but that's going to put him up there, where a loss to Jericho could just set him back a bit to kind of stall his inevitable rise. But, at the same time, you think about career-defining matches or moments or situations for wrestlers. Jericho had beating Austin and Rock in the same night. MJF can have beating Jericho 4 times and retiring him until Jericho, comes back and does one more match or something like that. Maybe Jericho goes and works Wrestle Kingdom again. I don't know. But I think I'm going to predict, oh God, I just don't know. I'm going to predict MJF to beat Chris Jericho. I think MJF will do it. Jericho will go to commentary. Part of me wants to keep Jericho in the ring. I even think Jericho and Punk doing something again might be kind of fun, but you got to remember Jericho's, in his 50s now. I still think he might be doing some Fozzy traveling. Might be better on him if he just wasn't in the ring right now, because it's not like he's been super impressive in his in-ring stuff lately, and he's had a big year. He's worked a lot of hardcore, brutal matches, and he's had a long feud here with MJF that dates back a long time. So let's put MJF over here. Let's launch this kid. He's a shit-talking son of a bitch. The only way I think maybe MJF doesn't win is if he does something to Wardlow and he disrespects him again. We've been waiting for Wardlow to snap. It's going to happen. So maybe Wardlow loses his mind and winds up helping Jericho win or something like that. I suppose that could happen, technically keeping Jericho in the ring. Also keeping MJF strong, because he can claim that it wasn't fair and he never lost to Jericho or whatnot. And it also keeps Jericho available to wrestle when they want. That could very well happen. But I think I'm just going to predict MJF just for fun. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Britt Baker defending the AEW women's title against a very game Chris Statlander, who I love. She's just incredible. Amazing feat of strength she had last night when she defeated Jamie Hayter and Rebel in that in the handicap match. She had them both. She had one of them on her shoulders and the other one like in fall away slam position, and she just dumped them both. Amazing strength in this girl. But like I said, Britt Baker, I'm not taking the title off of her until the year 2035, so she's going to retain here against Statlander. She'll probably have some help, but in the end, keeping the title on the dentist because she's the baddest. Kenny Omega defending the AEW title against Christian. Christian got worked over pretty hard on Dynamite, but then again, Christian had that fantastic match with Kenny on Rampage, winning the Impact title. Kenny's going to have to retain here some way, somehow, especially if the Bucks drop the tags earlier on in the show to the Luchas. I think Kenny's going to obviously win the AEW title here. I don't think this is going to be the main event because we've already gotten this match. AEW, I think, has done a really good job of being able to position Punk and Darby in that main event setting. However, we've gone this whole time without mentioning Daniel Bryan yet. So Kenny Omega and Christian, you know you're going to have elite shit going on. Callis is going to be there. Cutler's probably going to be out there with a cold spray. We're probably going to see Kaz run out. Maybe even Jungle Boy could get involved here if they wanted, or Jurassic Express if it really breaks down and really gets out of hand. In the end, Kenny Omega is going to defeat Christian, black hair and all. Couple of BTE triggers, couple of one-winged angels, one with a kick out, one with a pinfall. But in the end, Christian's going to have to go down here. And where is Bryan Danielson going to show up? I think that it's going to have to be in one of these two matches, the final two matches. And Christian's deal has been outwork everyone. He's been bragging about his work ethic and how good he is in the ring and shit like that since he got there. If Kenny then puts him down, they kind of teased something like this on commentary a few weeks back, I believe, where Kenny was almost doing what Roman kind of teased at one point, saying that he's kind of gone through everybody. There's nobody else to beat type of shit, which is total bullshit. There's plenty of people for Kenny still to beat in AEW. But if he does beat Christian, he can get on and the Elite beats Christian down after the match and he's laying there. Kenny can get on the mic and say, Christian, I told you I'd beat you. You think you're so badass. I told you I'm the best in the world. There's not a better wrestler in this ring, on this earth right now. You thought you were it, but I just beat you. So that makes me it. And then maybe we hear the final countdown start. Bryan Danielson comes out. He's back as the Dragon. Oh, my God. Face off with Kenny Omega. Kenny, Danielson. That would be an incredible moment. But there's also somebody that could come out in that very same scenario, and that is Adam Page. I think we could still see Adam Page come out. And I don't know what's going on with Hangman. I mean, obviously he's taking time off for the birth of his kid and whatnot. That's totally understandable. But I felt like they could still do the match with Kenny at Arthur Ashe on the 22nd. But maybe it's Bryan now. Maybe Adam Page is going to take another month off or something like that. And maybe the Arthur Ashe Dynamite will be Daniel Bryan against Kenny Omega. Could see that. I don't know. So we're going to see Bryan Danielson, I should say. We're going to see him somewhere. It's possible he turns up here. I'm not going to predict that because I just don't know. But if we're going to see him, you'd feel like it's either going to be here or it's going to be in the main event, which, of course, is CM Punk versus Darby Allen. Sting mentioned on Dynamite that he's not going to be at ringside for this. He's going to let Darby do this on his own. So it'll be Punk and Darby one-on-one. I'm sure it's going to be a great match. Darby's going to put him over. And then after the match, as the show's going off the air, what happens? Is it just Punk celebrating as the show goes off the air? Or do we get a Daniel Bryan hitting the ring and attacking Punk or hugging Punk? Something like that. Does Adam Cole show up? Do the three of them form a New World Order? Maybe after Punk beats Darby Allen, he picks him up to show him respect. Because we're going to get the show respect and love out of Punk and Darby. But what if Punk turns heel? And then bam, clotheslines Darby. There's no Sting. Sting's not there. He starts working over Darby. Sting runs out. Punk hits Sting with a chair, drags him in the ring. Or maybe Sting gets some offense in. Maybe Sting gets some offense in. He starts working over Punk. Sting is jumped from behind by Adam Cole. And then the two of them start working over Adam Cole. Darby kind of recovers, goes out to the outside of the ring, gets a chair, whacks Punk, whacks Cole, and starts taking them out. And then Daniel Bryan hits the ring. And the three of them just beat the shit out of Punk and Darby Allen. Maybe some other AEW people run out and they form a New World Order. But there's not going to be a Hogan in the group. They're even going to say that. Punk's going to say, there's no leader here. We're all champions here. We're all going to have a run with the title. I'm going to get the first shot. And it's going to be Punk first, and Bryan and Cole are going to team up to take out the Young Bucks or the Lucha Brothers for the tag team titles, and they can be like the outsiders. Who knows? That's very, very elaborate. That's probably not going to happen. But you got to think, something might happen at the ending of the show there with CM Punk. He's going to have his next program with somebody. It's probably not going to be another match with Darby. If anything, I think Punk and Darby are going to start teaming together on TV every now and then to take on people. So you think that Punk might have to start something new real soon. So who will that be with? Could be anybody. And it could even happen the following week on Dynamite. So anyway, just to recap, I'm picking the babyfaces in the buy-in match. Lucha Brothers to beat the Bucks for the tag team title. I've got Ruby Soho winning the Casino Battle Royale. I've got Moxley over Kojima. QT is going to take a loss to somebody, whether it be Paul White or his backup plan, Braun Strowman or Mark Henry or somebody like that. QT is going down. Miro will successfully retain over Eddie Kingston. MJF is going to put down Jericho and send him to the announce booth. Britt Baker will retain over Chris Statlander. Kenny Omega will retain over Christian, and Punk will beat Darby Allen. And somewhere in there, we're going to get Daniel Bryan. I think somewhere in there, we could get Adam Cole. I think we could get Strowman. I think we could get Ruby Soho. There's a lot of possibilities here. I think we're going to get good wrestling, one title change, possibly a heel turn and a couple of debuts, and a guy getting in the ring for the first time in 7 years. Not too shabby looking of a show. I'm ready for it and ready to rock and roll. So, anywho, I wish I could hang out longer, but I got to get out of here and head to work, and then I got a big, long 4-day weekend ahead of me. So keep that in mind for this week. I'm going to be up here a lot starting tomorrow with an all-out review, and this coming Wednesday, we start AEW Dynamite watch-alongs every week here on the YouTube channel. That's going to be fun, and we're going to do that throughout the fall and winter months. So just keep that in mind. I wish you all well. Have a great rest of your Saturday. And, Alex Bryant, let me knock out your $2 super chat first. If Stone Cold went to AEW, who takes a stunner first? Fuck, I don't know. Don Callis. Got to be Don Callis, 100%. That's who I'm going with. He needs a stunner. A stunner would do him good. So I think that needs to happen. Good to see you in here, Kyle, and Real One and Mr. E, all y'all that came in kind of at the end there. Appreciate you being here. You guys take care. 24 hours, you're going to see just a little bit over 24 hours. You'll be seeing me again tomorrow night for the all-out review. Link is over on my channel right now, so go over there, check it out, save it, and come join us tomorrow night after the pay-per-view. It should be a blast. Y'all have a great day. See you tomorrow. Peace.